Hello everyone, and welcome back to Fleet Fumbles Hoi 4. This time we're once again back on the fighting fronts of the Great War. And looking to see if we can't redress the balance somehow. The fighting fronts are almost stagnant in the way they are, and any attempt to move them is proving very difficult. Our troops are dug in, holding... Well, they're holding out for dear bloody life, and, like, that's just the truth of the matter. But... we need more men, we need more troops, we need more of everything. We need to grow the army to... We're already 2.5 million in the field, but it's still not enough. We need more. Various fighting fronts are just hell. The front in Western Poland and the Baltics is just horrific. It's a never-ending foot slog through hellish terrain with no end in sight. The one advantage we have is our overwhelming air power. If not in numbers, then in the effectiveness of our aircraft. We just have a better air force, and we consistently, despite being overwhelmed, trade ridiculous levels of air power. And despite it all, we still don't have enough aircraft. Bombers, fighters, we don't have enough. Despite the grinding nature of the conflict we're fighting, it's just not enough. Czech forces definitely want to make a breakthrough, I can see it. On the central front, it's much the same. And there's no real way to punch through. There's no soft underbelly here. There's only the fighting fronts. And that's it. There's no workaround here. There is only... There's only the fighting fronts. We're stuck fighting a horrific war with basically no out available to us. Desperately trying to hold numerous front lines in the hopes that our enemies, being made up of multiple coalitions, collapse before we do. That they run out of men, resources, or anything. But I don't want to go limited conscription. Having volunteer own, we can go up to limited conscription. Doesn't really have any downsides to it, so we may as well. This whole war is a massive mess. Even the Czech front has its problems. I need to bring in additional divisions to bolster the Czech front and hopefully allow us to break it open. The Czechs are the best hope at a weak link I've got. They're not in a faction. If they can be destroyed, then there may be a way for us to basically punch a hole clean into the rear, destroy the forces in Sweden, and just punch clean through Tunisia into Burma and into the Welsh People's Republic. It's a risk, it's a gamble, but It's basically the only one I've got right now. Anything else is just non-viable. The forces on the fighting fronts are trying their absolute best, but we just don't have enough kit. And bringing it forward logistically is proving difficult. It does at least appear that we have stopped the ability of the Finns to exploit what breakthroughs they have made. Although we are at risk of losing some key parts of our frontage. We have at least held the east, again, after the small breakthroughs we made and the gains we made up north. Which is something. But again, one of the main things we lack here is just more of everything. Air power, tanks, fighters, bombers. Even with a massive military-industrial complex running flat out, it's not enough. I'm having to build yet more factories in places far closer to the front than I would like in order to just get more hit. Because it's just not enough. Believe me, I'm trying. The forces on the front line headed towards Germany are holding out as best they can, but tank losses, even just over the last few days. Even over the last month, we lose 500 tanks in combat. Over the last 12 months, we've lost nearly 5,000 tanks in combat. Our tanks are just not tough enough. They have no armored protection. They have no ability to protect themselves from enemy fire. The enemy's piercing fundamentally is too high, and they might be about to break our lines and push us back east. Which is something I functionally cannot accept. The loss of our Western Front is frankly unacceptable. It is not something I will countenance under any respect. Our forces are fighting desperately to hold what we've gained, but they've finally brought enough force to bear that we can't stop it. And they finally put enough fighters up that our bombers can no longer do the work they once did. We do still have some offensive spirit, it has to be said. Our troops are still the forces that drove all the way here. Like, let that not be forgotten. Despite the enemy's massed numbers, we are still the German army. The force that came all the way west. And that's just the truth of it. We'll mass additional troops and we'll hit them again. We'll bring up more forces from the rear. Assign them to the Northern Army group and push northwards. We have to break the Finns. And the Finns are on the verge of break. If the Finns can be broken, we can drive all the way north into the... We can knock multiple enemy states out of the conflict. Problem is the centre cannot hold. Although it may not have to if we can break a hole in the enemy left, which we seem to be on the verge of actually doing.
Angetreten.
Thing is, they've also exhausted their strength. If we can break a hole in the enemy left, we might be able to buy the centre enough time to regroup and rearm.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Oh.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
There we go. Right.
Achtung.
With that much strength available, we should be able to punch clean through Czechoslovakia. with no problems at all.
Zuhören.
Especially with fresh troops as well available to us now, which they weren't before. There's also the prize of Königsberg, but Königsberg is defended by a ludicrous amount of troops. In short, I think the atom bomb may be the only way we actually succeed here. Almost ridiculous levels of tactical atomic usage just to plow our way through the front. But even then, that'll mean fighting in a radioactive hellscape, which is still not ideal.
Auf geht's!
With the recapture of that middle airfield, that helps, but our air power just isn't enough. I think attrition is now actually starting to tell against our air forces. Despite modern Dornier 319s coming in and the new jet Heinkel 280s, it's not enough. We just don't have the raw resources to keep everything going as it is.
Auf geht's!
Like I say, one of my only hopes now is,
Bereit zum
well, first
Ausrücken!
of all, a counterattack on that bulge that has been forced in our lines. Well, okay, never mind. We did actually succeed in taking Königsberg. That is a major boon. I'm going to try and claim Danzig, because Danzig will be a nice cord port if we can get it.
Los, los, los! Auf geht's!
Now, we'll have to reorganize before we push the Czechs,
Befehle?
but the Czechs have to be pushed. They have to be knocked out of the war. We need their land for a breakout into the northern areas, and we need whatever raw material they can give us. Now we need the better trucks as well. Well, we are at least managing to hold them, thank God.
Zuhören! Auf geht's!
And I am throwing some of our troops into trying to break various parts of the communist line.
Befehle!
This war has been horrific. Millions have died, but millions more must be thrown into the meat grinder. There is no alternative. We have to break them. We have to break them. There is no ifs or buts here. It has to be done. Either we break them or we lose everything. At least the East is pretty much just holding. And the enemy's logistical situation is so abysmally bad that they just can't do pretty much anything at all. No matter how hard they try in the East, they're basically stuck fighting a horrific war with no supplies at all available to them. And then they build up for another mass offensive, and it avails them at naught. The massive industry I've built up has carried me this far, but it's now actually... Even the masses of assault rifles we've built up is still not enough. Losses are ridiculous. In the last month alone, we lost 7,000 infantry equipment. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Angetreten! Töten.
Just, they won't give up. No matter how hard I try, no matter what I throw at them,
Zuhören.
it's no good. They just will not give in. The static hellhole of a war.
Achtung. Los, ausrücken.
And now the Königsberg pocket is, well, not pocket because it's not a pocket, but it's under threat.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
We need those additional troops at the front now. Well, at least any hope for Czech breakthrough has been stymied, thank goodness, but any hope of a successful counterattack has also been stymied. Well, we can get 6 more divisions to the front. Well, no, we can't. Now we're at... That was the last of my reserves. This final influx was the last of my available reserves of materiel. Now we basically have to rebuild those reserves and hope that the enemy ceases actually trying to deplete their own reserves using bodies rather than manpower.
Ihre Befehle.
Because if they keep trying to do what they're doing, they might actually succeed, and we might lose everything.
Vorwärts, Männer.
Yeah, we need the better railroad. Because the one that we actually use to supply our forces in the west has been cut, and you can see it's telling. Jesus Christ, the amount of troops that they've thrown against us, it's just silly. I can probably get a stalemate if I want one. I hope.
Befehle.
Focus on defeating one part of the enemy coalition, the Czechs, and then come back and kill the rest of them once I've got a bit of breathing room. But where would that leave us? So we're fighting the European Combine, and we're also fighting the other people as well, I think. Yeah, we're fighting the Macedonian... Are we? No, we're fighting... Yeah, we're fighting the Brotherhood of Asia, and we're fighting... So I can probably get the Brotherhood of Asia to back down. They would probably be happy to accept a stalemate peace, which would at least remove one of the pieces off the board of the people I'm fighting. Good. That at least removes one of the pieces off the board. For now. But I'm not happy with the way in which our forces are being pushed back.
Auf geht's.
Okay. I'll have to abandon Königsberg, holding it's not viable.
Weiter, weiter.
Surely the Czechs have suffered enough. The problem is, that elusive goal of a breakthrough through the Czech lines still hangs in front of me, and I can just see it now. It's just about there.
Vorrücken.
Problem is, it remains elusive.
Ihre Befehle.
Okay. So the... Oh, well, never mind. Now the Czechs have joined the Europe... Oh, great. The Czechs have joined the European Combine, which basically means that is now another front in that major war. There goes my hope for a separate piece. And also a surprise breakthrough once we punch through the checks. At that point, then, yeah, it's... Good lord. This war is hell.
Zuhören.
Wonder where the music had went. Now more troops are going to arrive on the Czech front, and they have the troops to spare. They do. Is the railway line nearly complete? Nearly is. We need to hold open the railways on the other side of the line, though, in order to ensure that our troops actually get through and get the supplies they need. Yeah, there come more of the enemy. Luckily, though, our boys are dug in deep. They have to be. If they're not dug in deep, we have massive problems.
Befehle. Unter Beschuss.
Any attempt at a breakthrough we do now is just doomed to failure. There's no way it works. We are, like actual Germany, stuck in a stalemate on two fronts. Admittedly, we're not under blockade, and we are food self-sufficient, but
Zuhören.
there's no hope for a breakthrough. We're stuck in a never-ending war that has no end. With no one having any navies. Because we're all so dedicated to throwing manpower at this land-based conflict we're all involved in. The naval race will basically start from the ground up.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Yeah, they're just...
Bereit.
If I can retake Vitebsk, that will
Angetreten.
grant us a little bit of breathing room on that front.
Zuhören.
And if Riga can be taken, that also grants us even more room on that front as well.
Ausrücken.
I mean, the capture of Riga would be very, very good indeed. Although whether or not we're actually going to take these provinces, I don't know. We haven't got siege artillery yet, which we're working on. There we go. Anti-vehicle landmines, that's very good indeed. Standardized production. Defensive equipment, very good idea indeed. Right. There we go. Just won't give up. We're sat here defending a massive front with a huge army. They conducted a raid. What happened to my... Well, not my naval facility, do I? Well, now we need to repair the naval facility, and we need to assign at least a full 15 factories to the repairs. And get that facility back up and running. Well, those are going to continue to have problems. At least we're up to 500 guns a day. Any attempt at a breakthrough is just suicidal at this point.
Angetreten.
All I can continue to do
Weiter.
is cling to what gains we've made until the enemy exhaust themselves or until I unlock the power of the friendly sunshine. And hope that my continued military and industrial build-up will be enough to grant me the edge that I desperately, desperately need. I should probably also look to the idea of a heavy fighter. Something like the Dornier 335. It's got straight wings, that's fine. We can have straight wings. Laminar flow straight wings is what we want. No body modifications and not a twin boomed tail. A medium pressurized cabin. We want a supercharger. We want the reflex gun sight. We want extra fuel tanks. We want self-sealing fuel tanks. We want armor plating. And the whole point of this new heavy fighter is to basically go deep into enemy territory. Is to basically sweep the skies clear of enemy fighters. It's to be an independent force and operating not with any of our other airframes. Our jet aircraft can handle day-to-day operations over the front.
Zuhören.
They're just continuing to pour men at us. Casualties now up to 3 million men. And it's literally all these people. It's all the European Combine. So many of their men have died, and for what?
Achtung.
The Combine's greed, its desire to spread this glorious world revolution. It's a fantasy.
Achtung.
Will not give in. Every front is a static mess now. They cannot break us. But at the same time, we can't break them. There must be a way. There must be a way. It's got to be. I just wish the fronts would settle down, but the AI will not settle down. It thinks it can win. It can't win. Enemy fighter losses are extreme. Over the last months of fighting, their losses have been ludicrous. And our losses have been circumstantial. The Heinkel 280s are proving ridiculously potent machines. Ridiculously potent. won't. They just will not give in. Well, should probably get the mine gewehr as well. Try our best to make our kit better. Have the men fight harder as best they can. I would improve the amount of artillery that we actually give them, but well, I'm actually worried about the stocks. We've only got 5,000 artillery in stock. We don't have enough to, especially with the rate of attrition. Artillery losses on the in the Western Theatre are, even in a month of, well, in a month of fighting actually, attrition. The last 12 months we lost 7,000 guns. Now, I know our troops are engaged in defensive operations, but and that this is a risk. But it's a risk I feel is worth the taking, and we have just enough artillery to cover the deficit. And once it is fed through to our boys on the front line, we should be okay. We need more firepower to punch a hole clean through the communist lines. While our air power is definitely helping and is starting now to get yellow air over places as it just continually works through enemy fighter cover. Even though there's tons and tons of these old obsolete fighters.
Angetreten.
Just don't have enough artillery guns. Yeah, we'll have to drop the artillery allocation because I don't have enough guns. But with half that many guns, we should still have enough to keep things going. Why does it claim that as Czech territory? It's not. That brings us down to 900 guns in the hole, which is better.
Bereit. Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Just will not give up.
Greift weiter an.
Let's talk terms with the Burmese. See if they're willing to accept the war as a status quo. At least for now. I need at least a period of truce to reorganize my forces. Right, I'm going to pause the game before that peace deal sets in. It's quite clear that they are leveraging far too much equipment against us. I need time to reorganize my troops, rethink my front, and reorganize everything. I've no idea what the front will look like, though, once it's all said and done. We've technically won. We've gained more territory than we lost.
Achtung.
And we've formalized our access to the Baltic.
Greift weiter an.
All forces are going to remain in place where they are on the active fighting fronts.
Angetreten.
Because I don't trust the, I don't trust our opponents in any significant way. So our forces are going to remain. On the fighting fronts. Ready. For the resumption of hostilities. Because, make no mistake, this is just breathing room. This is not the end. This is breathing room, and I've known full well that I need to cripple the enemy's industrial capabilities. I can no longer just fight them frontally. We have to annihilate their ability to make war. We have to build a force of large, powerful, strategic bombers, and we have to make use of that force to annihilate the enemy. There is basically no alternative here. We have to build the ME-264. There's not really an alternative. Luckily, though, with its high speed, power, and range, it should be more than sufficient to bomb basically anywhere on the planet. We need to reconstitute our military. Bide our time. And most importantly, prepare our naval build-up. We have now just about succeeded in charging west. And we have now succeeded in our goals in the war.
Bereit.
We need to rebuild our military. Reconstitute it. We lost the Canadian territory, and we lost our port access, which is part of one of the reasons I was happy to actually have the war be the way it was. But never mind. The important thing is we retain supply hub control.
Angetreten. Bereit zum Ausrücken. Befehle.
And, well, and in a new front, the Northern Theatre, which is for those troops tasked with the long, arduous march north into Scandinavia. To put it simply, gentlemen, this is just a temporary middle ground to hostilities. That is all this is. Like, let there be no illusions here. This is an armistice. And that armistice will end. There will come a point where we have to basically look at it and go, well, yeah, we've got to upgrade our forward airfields and prepare. get everything else ready. Well, we don't need that much in the way of equipment anymore. And our support equipment production is, quite frankly, well over requirements. So dropping down to 10 factories should be more than sufficient, and it frees up factories for other things, like our air power, our new heavy bomber force. Thing is, given the range of our new heavy bomber force, which is somewhat ludicrous. Ah, excellent. We complete that project. On the outbreak of the conflict, the plan will be to build a nuclear wall stretching through Berlin.
Bereit!
So the northern front will stretch like that. For now.
Befehle!
The thing with the western front is we're going to punch through the Colombian Socialist Republic at the outbreak of the war. But for now, we have a truce for 2 years. That's 2 years of peace. 2 years for us to plan, rebuild, rearm, and prepare for, well, what I only describe as the killing stroke. The final hurrah, as it were. The thing that will grant us the ability to punch clean through into Western Europe. The war wasn't going well, I could see it. They were leveraging their forces against us. But while they were planning, so were we. New divisions for the front. And, my most ambitious plan yet, a total reworking of divisional structure. A massive spike. In the size and power of our divisions. More artillery. More firepower. Making our divisions significantly more powerful. More air power. More of everything. We just need more of it. And more men. More men to make it all possible. The army's 3 million men strong, but it's not enough. It needs to be about 6 million strong. Without that level of control, that level of... Okay, yeah, we need those railway upgrades done to supply our troops near the front. We'll probably electrify them. So otherwise our boys at the front are not going to have the equipment they need. Panzer construction can also come down. to give us the rifles that we need to complete what is, quite frankly, a very, very ambitious plan. A massive upgrade in the size, scope, and raw power of the German army. We're basically looking at, well, in essence, we're basically looking at we've been fighting the war for so long that, well, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I mean, look at this. It's incredible. I will admit, I am more than a little bit miffed about the loss of our Baltic territory to our erstwhile co-belligerents, which then lost it back into the hands of our enemies. I had planned to build up a small fleet and use naval invasions to knock people like the Welsh out of the war. Now that may not be possible. We should be up to date in terms of the amount of artillery and stuff we have by the outbreak of the Second War. The Second Great War. Yeah. This alt history sure does rhyme. We're headed towards the Second Great War. Need more firepower. More aircraft. More capability to make use of them. So. Good. From this central and safe location, our medium bombers can... Our heavy bombers can hit anywhere. And that was the final thing that I didn't have. The final thing that our troops needed, but did not possess. Super heavy siege guns. That was exactly what we needed to punch holes clean through Allied lines. Sorry, through Soviet communist lines. If we have that, we can punch holes through the Allied lines. If we don't have it, then we basically can't. Well, we tried to with normal artillery, as you can see, and it didn't really work. Well, we've completed our westward rail expansion. But it's still not enough. So we need to do it again. And build up this massive westward rail artery. And get the modern jet aircraft that we are going to need, categorically I say again, need, to make the next air war even more devastating than it already is. We've got to try. We've got to try. Right. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. Sorry, forgive the silence. I'm just thinking. The Macedonians are on their last legs. I will admit the presidential Ivory Coast has been doing a lot better than I thought they would. They've leveraged their industrial and isolation, their industrial area and their isolation, and have been able to. The problem is I can't really send volunteers without access to the sea. I can't really do much of anything. Although,
Angetreten.
that being said, there are probably things that I can do. For starters, I can expand the tank corps, for one thing.
Zuhören.
And we can continue to bulk out our new...
Zuhören.
Oh. Oh, yeah, that's right. They're for the tank corps. I forgot. Whoops. Silly me. Well, yes. So, that gives us 30 tanks, which is good. Now... 385,000 infantry equipment in service. Most of it is actually the modern G3s. Yeah, it's... So we've got the radars coming through quite nicely. And then we can get intercontinental bombers after that. And then we need nuclear fission bombs. This massive construction project to dramatically increase the power and effectiveness of our railway network is, it's been a long time in the planning, actually. Maybe constructing some railway guns is not a bad idea, actually. We can probably get some improved. We can probably get electric locomotives into service. It'd be nice if we could. So I'm looking. And... Now, we have a truce with all of those nations, so they can't join. No, that could just bring in... That could just bring in more stuff, and I really don't want that. No, we'll bring them back to the Western Front. I was tempted to do some more military adventurism, but that's what got us into the Great War in the first place. Lest we forget. Ah, we got some Garretts. I do love how they animated the Garretts correctly. It's great. Right. Well, I would have thought that the ability for them to move forces around would have resulted in them making more gains on their various other fronts, but no. Their other fronts are just as horrific and awful as the ones against us are. Although the Caucasian Emirate I don't think is too long for this world, sadly.
Ihre Befehle?
Although we can turn the garrison force into Volkssturm brigades, I think. We're gonna need them. Ah, radar. Finally. And now we absolutely need the intercontinental bomber. Do I need first generation jets to do that? Yes, I do. But I can make use of the early jets that I have. VTOL airframe. Various large airframes, but we can at least make use of our very early jets to create aircraft that will enable us to keep the keep things going, shall we say. Right. So with access to modern small airframes, we can now really start to grow. Now, I had considered the ME-262 to be possibly what I wanted, but given the rising cost of air... For a second there, I thought my phone was going off. No, it wasn't. But yeah, with the rising cost of aircraft, I've got two choices. Either I double down and go with an advanced ME-262 like the HG3 with the inlaid engines and the really swept wings, or I commit to the Heinkel 162 with its forward swept wings and try to make that work. Now, I mean, there is always the option to do both. Yeah, there is actually the option to go with both. To go with the ME-262 that has two decent cannon, anti-air rocket pods, no, we don't need rockets as the takeoff. We're all right. Don't have any superchargers. Oh, we can have a G-suit. G-suits are important. We can have a small pressurized cabin. We can have self-sealing fuel tanks. We can have a reflex gun sight. Don't need an onboard radar. And we can have... there we go. And that's the ME-262A. However, given the way in which we did suffer somewhat ridiculous levels of attrition in that conflict, I am also going to put out the Heinkel 162. With forward swept wings, a single early jet, a wet wing for its fuel, reflex gun sight, a G-suit, and self-sealing fuel tanks. But significantly cheaper as a platform than the ME-262A. With, again, the goal being that both aircraft will be produced try and keep up with losses. At least, therein lies the thinking. I don't know whether it's actually true or not, we shall see. There's also the third mutant hand option, which is a Horton 229 derived aircraft. Now, oh, that's cool. It actually tells me... Ah, okay. Interesting. So we also have navalized aircraft as well that we can use, which is good to know. Good to know. But yeah, we won't need those for a while yet. What if I build it with a high speed wing? That slows it down but gives it increased range. And makes it much less reliable, so no, probably not. What I can do, though, is build the ME-264B with the same swept wing, but with its engines rearranged to push it yet further. And now carrying guided missiles as well. This new form of the bomber is yet more powerful, and can be relied upon to deliver Germany's nuclear weapons when they become available. The reactors for the construction of those bombs will be constructed in the heartlands, as far away from the various fronts as possible. And we have to keep constructing our military industry, because without it, well, we're a little bit buggered, politely. Luckily, we have developed an industry where we can do this, where we can bulk up our military industrial base to a point where we should be able to resume hostilities. Now, as long as the various enemy states don't also finish their wars, before we get round to ours, then in theory we should be okay. There's the problem, of course. In theory. Theory and practice don't always work well together when they meet. Improved inline engine. And basically, we only built one of the A model Dornier 335s before the B took over. Which is a bit weird, but hey-ho, it is what it is. Right, okay. So... Nationalist, the Gambia is fighting hard, so is presidential dictatorship. Both these states are fighting really hard to resist. The European communes, though. So much of the world under their thumb. Yeah, they have to be cast out. Well, that's completed that. However, we need more railway upgrades. Because what we're getting isn't enough. I mean... It just sadly isn't enough. We don't have enough in the way of kit. It's got to be a way. Like, well, obviously I'm upgrading my armed forces in a very significant way. So there is that. Well, we definitely have a focus on tactical aviation. And we have definitely decided that the tactical bomber is the arm that carries that into the future. That's not really been up for debate. Do we have enough for any of the... No, we need the new main battle tanks. That's what we need. Otherwise we can't go forwards. Well, got improved cannons, so we can build the ME262B model with the 30mm cannon instead. If I replace the rockets with guns, that makes us less agile, but it gives us more air attack. We're not fighting superior aircraft, so I'm just going to replace one of those cannon. In regards to the Heinkel 162, that will get a B model with the improved 30mm cannon as well. With both airframes now operating effectively. And gradually filtering on stream as well is the Heinkel 51s. Sorry, Heinkel 162s, I should say. The plan being to gradually scale up to having 7 factories working on it. Gradually filtering them into squadron strength. And we're 34 days away from our modern airframes, which is very, very good indeed. We can't really have resistance to occupation. I mean, everything's under control. The populace is content and secure and happy. Resistance is way down across all our territories thanks to our relatively lenient occupation policy. We need to secure our forward base. We need to secure what we've conquered. Bring it into the Empire as newly compliant core territory. But, alas, that won't happen right now. We're still in this whole preparing for the next war phase. Now we come to the most ambitious part of the plan. The complete and total... well, making the railway line significantly bigger. Seems that Garrett's work the northern trains. It's funny that. The amount of... well, we've managed to get up to 7 airframes building the Heinkel 162Bs. Which is good. I want to get up to at least 1 aircraft a day. As we gradually phase the old Heinkel 280s out of service. But yeah, our fighter force is now totally jet. Which is kind of huge. There we go. More heavy bombers. Because I'm absolutely going to need them. And we can now have improved radars as well. Well, we can actually have radar for the first time. Which is nice. Been fighting without radar up to 1944 just because of the sheer insanity of the war. Of the war we've actually been fighting. When does our truce expire? So we've got to wait until the 19th of March 1946. That's a year and a bit away. And this is... Yep, this new jet cast doctrine is going to be exceptionally useful. Basically because we need them. Oh, agrochemistry, that's very good. So we've got supplies through all these areas. But... it's that last link to that last supply hub that's the problem. We are upgrading our railway network to allow us to funnel more supplies into there, but... we managed to get our artillery needs, artillery production up to 50 guns a day, which is good. I kind of wonder what the international market looks like. Well, there are still some guns available on the market. The Finns are selling some artillery pieces. And the sovereign Gabonese state is selling 6,000 pieces of artillery. Which is a significant chunk of what our state needs. Basically using my civilian industry to buy what I can't build. Oh, rocket is just a projectile. That's a steal of a tech. That really is a steal of a tech. And it's the thing, even doing that, it's still not completely removed our military-industrial complex's power. We still have enough factories left to keep doing what we were doing already. Not to the same level as normal, but definitely not anything like being down in the doldrums. Ah, here we go. Medium airframes. Right. So, Arado 234s, they're aircraft. They exist, right? And I get it. I do get it, but I don't think that's what I want. No. No, what I want is something significantly more powerful. Probably using 4 early jet engines to give it the thrust it needs. We'll call it is still going to have the Arado 234 designation, don't get me wrong. But it'll carry 2 dual cannon remote turret defense stations. It'll have radio navigation, a pressurized cabin, and self-filling fuel tanks. Oh, it's too expensive. Really? It's too expensive? That's annoying. Will this be the Dornier 234? No, this is the Dornier 420. That's what this is, yeah. Because it's the logical endpoint of the Dornier design lineage. That's what it is. It's the Dornier 420, and it's stupidly quick. The ground attack could be better, but it's not too bad. Yeah. 2 groups of podded engines, which we need to get the thing off the ground. And carrying more munitions. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll try a slightly embiggened Dorado, so an embiggened one compared to the original. And call it the Dornier 420. And we'll leave the other one for if we get better, because I think it's if you look at the image, it's carrying a guided missile slung underneath it, and we don't have those for tactical bombers yet. So, yeah, what we need is additional... no, we need better trains, because that was actually going to be what was going to help us actually break through, because if you look at these actually give better supply range and supply hub construction, which is very, very, very useful. And we need better recon companies, and we need better better everything, really. Because if we don't have better everything, then I wouldn't quite say we're fucked, but we are pretty fucked. Hey, how did we get to the ME-262? I wanted my new medium bomber. Oh well, never mind. It's annoying, but it is what it is. Yeah, until every chain of the railway upgrade is completed, it won't take effect. Yeah, so we're still waiting on the first shipment of guns. How many are we expecting per shipment? 250 guns per shipment, which is good. It's about 3 days worth of production. And of course, we've still got to build out the super heavy artillery, which is going to take us a couple of years. This is just... And we need more trains, obviously, that much is obvious, but... Still... Just wish we had more firepower. And got more bang for our buck. At least by trading with the Japanese shogunate, wherever they are. Where is the Japanese shogunate, anyway? I wonder where they are. I can't find them. Nope, that's not them. Where is the Japanese shogunate? Oh, excuse me. A little bit. Ah, here they are. Completely unaligned and unbothered, just vibing. I would bring them into a faction, but, well... politely, they just... Well, actually, there's not even anyone around them, but even so... Factions in this game can be more than just a little bit off kilter. Yeah, none of the enemy nations are invested in armor or firepower or anything like that. We need an Alps B model of the light tank with an even more powerful engine, cast hull, and even better protection. Because, well, as we saw in the last war, the previous model Panzers were actually vulnerable to infantry anti-tank weapons. Well, I know all tanks are vulnerable, but you know what I mean. They were getting properly pierced right through. We need to limit our exports because, well, it's costing our economy too much. Well, that's good. We can get our Dornier 335 production line going. And come out with our new Arado bomber. Well, sorry, Dornier. This will be the Dornier 420. With 4 early jet engines. A wet wing. A bomb bay. A high aspect swept wing. Two dual turrets, bomb sights, self-sealing fuel tanks, a medium pressurized cabin, dive brakes, and we don't need extra fuel tanks. What we need is, yes, the early radar warning return system, which is good. And there we go, the Dornier 420, which, aside from our massive strategic bombers and our heavy fighters, makes us entirely jet. Although, actually, that being said, I can actually come up with a new jet-driven heavy fighter. Christ, the Dornier 335's shelf life was short, wasn't it? Good lord. Talk about getting the short end of the stick, eh? I mean, really did not have a long shelf life in our service at all. That's sometimes the way it is, though. Meanwhile, the Great War still goes on. I mean, good lord, the losses involved are just extortionate. 50 million. 40. So one side's lost nearly 100 million men. 100 million men. Good lord. That number alone just makes you sit there and go, bloody hell. Like, it's just an insane level of... Well, now that we've actually got... enough rifles, I can afford to, again, increase artillery production. And also put a little bit more into my jets. Okay, I need to have a look at this quickly. Just look at the front for a second for me, folks, and tell me what you see. So, folks, what do you see? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I see. I see a lack of supply. A serious lack of supply. Right, so just got to keep going. We've got our projectiles that are assisted by rockets, which is very good. We don't have super heavy howitzers yet, but that's not too much of a problem. 80 GMs. Right. Better artillery? Or do I start co-development of rocket artillery? There we go. No, I think we'll keep using tube artillery for now. Just because diversifying into another piece of artillery is probably not in my best interest right now as it stands. Well, Panther 3 half speeds are now filtering on force in a decent amount of strength. But it's becoming clear that they're not really up to snuff. At least not in the way we'd like. So, luckily, we've been able to skip straight to 1943 mediums. Although I do want to get the heavies, basically to allow me to keep building through the heavies. So, I'm just thinking. Yeah, I probably want to make sure that we have a decent production run of AA guns going, because that's going to keep our boys clear from the air attacks. Of which there will be significant amounts, given that we do know the enemy's air power is significant. But let's actually investigate. So I want to know who's actually building this vast air fleet that the enemy is building. Because somebody clearly is. So what's that? That's increased. Nope. No, efficient scale up's what we want. We want to increase the amount of equipment we build. In basically all things. Mass production. That's the key word here. We've actually managed to recover from our previous iterations, and we're now at a point where we're building up our fighter strength, we're building up our bomber strength. We're actually phasing out the last of those interwar strategic bombers with ME-264 and ME-264Bs, instead becoming the majority type, meaning that once again we have the range to hit anywhere. Anywhere we like. Specifically, we need to work up our new bombers, so that when the war does come, they're ready. We also need to stand up another set of squadrons for the Eastern Front. And with the expanded airfields in the west, I basically want to stand up an additional set of squadrons for each of our fighting lads in the west, because they need it. Yes, air power was successful in the last set of conflicts, but it nearly wasn't enough. We nearly did not succeed in our goal. And it nearly cost us everything.
Zuhören.
And there we go. Now, in regards to... So for some reason, these guys are not getting re-equipped. Ah, that's why. You're not what you're supposed to be. Okay, so, yep, you will be split in two and assigned properly as escorts, which does bring us up to the correct amount. And I'm also going to add a single unit of our new heavy fighters to support the Panzers. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because that means the heavy fighters can cover the Panzers even if they punch a hole clean through the Allied lines.
Zuhören.
As I basically plan to do. The plan is basically to punch straight through Brest-Litovsk and drive like men possessed all the way through to the Polish border. That's the plan. If we can do that, then in theory the battle is well, it's not quite over, but it's very much a foregone conclusion, as it were. It's all a bit messy, but in theory, this should all work. Our scientist Marie Trump, which is a really funny name. Where is she actually? Where is the Orienburg? That's near our central area, isn't it? Ah. Hey, why do you not have enough supply? What's the matter? There's a good railway link from our capital to here. Although she probably needs more supply to do the work she's doing. Which is fine. She is working on the next generation intercontinental bomber. Which will push the already ludicrous capabilities of the ME-264 to new limits. So it does at least appear to me that the Swedish offensive is a pretty foregone conclusion. And the Western offensive shouldn't be too difficult for us to pull off. We've got Heinkel 162s and ME-262s filtering on strength pretty quickly. And jet bombers are now filtering on strength as well. We don't have any of the older obsolete types on strength, which is good. There is also another plan, though, that I do have. So how are we doing for bomber production again? So ME-264s are coming on stream pretty quick. We're close to phasing out the old obsolete airframes. In fact, that probably uses refuelers, I would guesstimate now. And we're going to convert old Panzer IIIAs into Panzer IIIBs. Elusive Gentleman, that is very good indeed. We're going to need the Elusive Gentleman, because we're going to need to figure out what the heck's going on in Norway. Ah, the Welsh. So, the Welsh People's Republic does have a sizable air force now, and it seems like a lot of the communist states, now that the war has died down, have invested in a sizable air force. In particular, the Soviet Republic of Yunnan has an air force now, and one very spread out. Yeah, the ME-262s continue to flood into our ranks. And then we have to research the improved jet engine again. Which is a little bit disconcerting, but hey-ho, it is what it is. The wars are basically stuck. I can see it, you can all see it. It's unfortunate, but it's true. Now, the helicopter carrier is quite useful, because it'll be useful overseas. Tanker submarine. And, obviously, oil tankers as well. Our cruisers and everything else that we have. Yeah, it's just the various massive ships that we actually have access to. There we go. And the advanced artillery upgrade, working our way towards our improved artillery to get ready for, you know, the big offensives that I do actively plan to have. And I'm going to cancel those contracts with the Gabonese. I don't need them anymore. Especially with field artillery production at the rate it actually is now. What we want to start doing is we want to start working on our medium tank production line, because we're going to need it. So, I'm thinking... Oh, we've got to go with a... Actually, Actually, do we have any historical medium tanks? We don't, sadly. Never mind, though. Now, we do have a few things missing from this whole medium tank project. And bear in mind, a lot of this is basically to allow us to push up the to build up a new production line for medium armor. In preparation for... Oh. I think one of the... Well, that's good. Bosnia-Herzegovina imploded. And I think that might have brought down one of the factions. Maybe. Oh my god, the game! The game! No, don't die on me, game. Don't do it. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Don't die on me, game. Come on. God. Come on, game. Don't die on me. Don't die. Oh, no. No. Don't die on me. No. Come on. You can live. You have to live. You can't die on me, game. No, don't die on me. Oh, my God. Please don't die. Come on, game. You can pull through. Come on. Come on, game. You can pull through. I don't know if the game is going to pull through. Game, are you okay? Are you okay, game? Oh, game is okay. Game is okay. It lived. We live. Oh, cool. We could actually go even further. And build an even bigger Dornier. Very nice. Oh. I am surprised those lads are still going. Well, Unitary Laos is probably one of their biggest members and is probably keeping them in the fight. Paraguay is making Solana Lopez proud and just desperately holding. And is just desperately holding there. Wait a minute. How does Paraguay have a focus tree? What? I didn't give Paraguay a focus tree. What the what? Okay. I don't know how they have a focus tree, but they do. And they are fighting like hell. So where's Bosnia? Oh, that... Oh, fuck! Bosnia has actually, that is really good. That is huge. By Bosnia doing that, that completely splits that nation off. Oh, never mind. I don't think they're gonna... Oh, no, never mind. They are holding. But yeah, by Bosnia doing that, that basically splits that force in two. And makes it an awful lot easier for me to punch a hole clean through
Ihre Befehle.
the lines. Like, we've only got a year to go now until we can declare war. And oh boy, what use have we made of that year? Bulking up our stocks of super heavy guns. Reworking and expanding our air force. There we go. Basically just getting our air force ready for what comes next. Because, well, we need it to be ready. If it's not ready, we're in trouble. And then we've got... There we go. I mean, Northern Front's ready, Eastern Front's ready. If it wasn't for the massive hit I'd take actually declaring the war early, I'd go. I would go in now, but, well, it would be a huge hit. Yeah. Individually, these communist states are not that strong. But the problem is externally they are. Now, luckily the Bosnians have managed to split them off, and if I can send Lend-Lease to them, I will. It might be in the form of older, obsolete fighters, but if it gives them an air force that they can use to fight my enemies, then I am all for it. Especially since I know for a fact that my aircraft are vastly superior to anything that whole hodgepodge of an alliance. Oh, no legal transport path because we don't have a port. I don't want to go to war with the South American Federation because I don't think that's a fight I could take. Okay. Oh, game? Game? Game, you okay? It's fine. I think something's about to happen. Okay. Oh, game? Game, you okay? I seem to have lost Hoi 4 for a minute. Game. Game. I can hear things going on in the background. What the fuck's going on? Oh. Oh, we're back, I think. Game? You okay, game? I think I figured out why the game locked up. I just saw the Romanians declared war on the Soviet Union. the two massive communist factions have just gone to war when they weren't at war before. Holy Jesus, I think things are about to go incredibly... There's about to be a bloodbath in Central Europe. And I think the game has stopped while everyone else gets called in to this massive war. Oh, good lord. Game? Oh, God. The game couldn't handle it, so it kind of quasi-shut off, and now it's back. I don't know what's going on, but this is just... This is just one hell of a... Well, it's a clusterfuck is what it is. But, good God. Come on, game. I know you can do it. Come on, game. I know you can do it. You can do it. Just work through the war declarations. You'll be fine. Jesus. Come on, game. I believe in you. Come on, game. Jesus Christ, these two communist factions are going to bring the entire game down. Come on. Come on, Hoi 4. I think Hoi 4 might be kill. CPU usage of Hoi 4 is rising. Oh my god, Hoi. Come on. Don't die on me. I think Hoi might be dying on me. And I think that's where we'll call it for today. It's been 2 hours of video, so we will call that... we will call that from today. Take care, and I will catch you all next week. Where I will try and go back a save, because we're after the autosave, and see if we can hope... Oh! Hang on. The game recovered. Oh my god, the war is on. The war is on. Oh my god. Okay. It's nearly 2 hours, but it's not quite, so we're going to keep moving it forwards, because I kind of want to see how the opening weeks of this conflict, well, the opening days of this conflict actually go. Okay, so both sides have had to rush mobilized forces around. Malawians are punching into territory from the south.
Zuhören.
My goal here is to push... My whole goal with this war was basically to try and keep the Great War going. Well, I say go, I didn't even start the war. I'm more referring to my participation in what was the Great War. But keep everything going. And now the South Americans are at war with the European Combine. And Galicia has come back. And the war has also spread to the American continent now for the first time. And yeah, the world is now at war. Europe is now... Borders are rapidly being redrawn as the various states involved work up their battle plans and figure out what the heck's going on. It's a heck of a... I don't know what the catalyst was, but there clearly was some form of catalyst that's kicked everything off. Although it does seem that various parts of the front have stabilized. Although we shall have to see how exactly this changes things. There's now fronts running through the northern bits of China. There's fronts in the Middle East now. This has now gone from a mostly European conflict with a little bit in Asia to a Great War. Well, it always was the Great War, but now it's even more of it. It does look like the South American Federation is going to win in America. Which is good. The only problem I have is that, well, it's not going to go too well for us, I don't think. While this does distract both of the major communist alliances, it does mean that we are left having to pick our fights. And I think at that point we fight the enemy that we know. And that we know full well that with our radically redesigned army, we can probably not only beat, but kick to the curb with something like reckless abandon. But with that and the outbreak of, well, what seems to be the expansion of the Great War to be a truly global conflict, I will now bid you all adieu for this week. Join me next week when we will continue this session and we'll see how the Germans, well, that's us, fare. And if, once the stalemate ends and we break it, how well will our new Air Force and our reworked army actually do? Take care, everyone, and I'll catch you all next week. Goodbye.